Hey friends, today I'm working on a new carrot cake recipe. With Easter around the corner, it's time for a new carrot cake, something more traditional. And I got a buddy gonna help me out, it looks like. Yes! I don't know if it's that she knows that the oven is on or she knows the camera is on that she's joining me. But we're gonna start. We gotta shred some carrots. First thing we gotta do is shred carrots because you don't wanna use the pre-shredded carrots. They're too hard. We want the moisture from actual carrots. So get your food processor out. Okay, so I have grated lots of carrots and I want 4 cups, which is actually about 400 grams. There is just so much more moisture in freshly grated carrots than there are in those store-bought grated carrots. For carrot cake, it's like a healthy cake because you're getting all your veggies.
Ooh, for once I can eat cake whenever I want.
I think we always get to eat cake whenever we want around here, huh?
Just so you know, there's like a lot of cake in here.
We got basically everything out. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use oil in this cake. So I'm gonna measure out a cup of oil. It could be any kind. You could do canola, you could do vegetable, you could do avocado. You just don't want like a strong oil flavor. I mean, you could certainly do coconut though, if you like coconut flavor.
I love
coconut
flavor.
Do you love coconut flavor?
Yeah, I break a whole coconut in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Okay. Avery's measuring out 1 cup of brown sugar packed. I'm gonna measure out another cup of granulated sugar. 1 cup of oil goes into our mixing bowl, along with a ½ cup of applesauce. You could do like a carrot applesauce, you could do pineapple, crushed pineapple. We're just adding a little extra moisture there. Avery's working on our brown sugar, packing that nice and tight.
Don't put nuts or raisins in your cake. It will taste awful.
All right, 1 cup sugar.
Just kidding. Anything in cake tastes good.
Let's mix this on medium-high speed for a couple minutes. Get that really well blended, okay? We're gonna crack 6 eggs into our measuring cup. I'm gonna scrape down the bottom of my bowl and then we can add our eggs in here. We're measuring out 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, and then that goes right in here.
How many?
I need 2 more of those. Yes?
2 more, so
yep.
3 out of all.
I'm gonna add in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So then I also have a little bit of nutmeg in here. A ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. And I'm gonna put a little bit of ginger and cloves in here too. You don't need much, that's a much stronger flavor. So let's just do a 4th teaspoon of each of those. That gives some really good spice flavor to it. And then we need baking powder. And we're gonna use 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We'll do 1 teaspoon of baking soda too. Teaspoon of salt.
Don't worry, my mom knows what she's doing.
So I'm gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm using Mexican vanilla. Whatever you got is gonna be great. All right, now we're gonna go low speed and we're gonna gradually add our flour mixture. And now we're going to add our carrots. This is 4 cups, remember, freshly grated. Don't ever mix on high speed once we put those dry ingredients, right? That causes our cake to sink.
Now that's not a cute one.
Oh. I've grabbed my kitchen scale and I've sprayed 3 8-inch pans with nonstick spray. I lined the bottom with parchment paper. I sprayed again. Now I'm gonna weigh the batter out in each pan so that I have equal parts and it bakes really evenly. All right, so set these to 0 and let's see how much batter goes into each of these pans. All right, so you're looking at about 20 ounces of batter in each pan. We are gonna put these in the oven at 350, and I'm gonna start with about 25 minutes since this is a thicker, denser batter, just a little bit.
That's good.
All right, cake layers are baked. They're ready to go. About 25 to 27 minutes in your oven should be perfect. You want them to cool completely to room temperature before you actually start decorating. In fact, give yourself like an extra 30 minutes beyond that to put them in the freezer to chill just a little bit more. They'll be easier to handle easier to stack, decorate, all the things. So give yourself some time. And then I have my turntable, I have my cake stand. You could decorate right on your cake stand if you want to, if it's like nice and flat and there's no lip getting in your way on the side. Or you could put cake boards right on top of here and use cake boards. So I'm gonna decorate right on top of my cake stand. My buttercream is a cream cheese frosting, and so this has got some cream cheese in it. It's got butter, it's got powdered sugar, heavy cream, salt. The recipe is on my blog, cakebycourtney.com. You can find that there. Let's go ahead and start decorating. How about we zoom in so you get a close-up? Okay, first layer is going right on top in the center of my cake stand. And if you have to level your cake, go ahead and do that when it's room temperature. And then I'm gonna put about a cup of my buttercream right on top of that cake layer. And I'm using an offset icing spatula, and I'm gonna push my buttercream out over the crumbs. As I'm leveling the buttercream, making sure it's nice and even, make sure the corner and the edge of your offset icing spatula are always touching the buttercream and it's not angled. And we'll repeat that same step with our second layer. And then any space in between here, we'll be adding in with buttercream later when we do our crumb coat. The last cake layer is gonna go top side down. Our smoothest side, best edge is up here. Now we're ready for a crumb coat, which is a thin layer of frosting that's gonna go around the entire cake, and we'll freeze it and lock in those crumbs. I'm using a straight icing spatula now and holding it right against the cake so the buttercream glides beautifully on the outside of my cake layers. Now it's time for a little bit on top, and I'm using my offset icing spatula to spread that out. Notice how I let the frosting go over the edge just a little bit? That makes it so that when I use my scraper to clean up the edges and the sides, my side and my top connect, and I create a crown on the top of my cake. This is my cake scraper. Notice how those edges that were hanging over now get lifted, and they create this crown of frosting around the top. Using your offset icing spatula, you just clean those up and create a beautiful edge by dragging that frosting into the center. All right, that's a crumb coat. It's going back in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Right on top of my crumb coated chilled cake, I'm putting my acrylic disc. This is something that helps us get straight sides and a sharp edge in just a few minutes. Using my straight icing spatula, I'm gonna just gently push some of my buttercream up underneath the acrylic disc to get it held in place, and you'll see it's right next to the disc, so I can cut it away later. And I'm gonna go around the entire top half of the cake, getting that disc in place. Now I'm ready to fill in the bottom half. You gotta remember, cream cheese buttercream is kind of sticky, so it's hard to get totally smooth sides without some of these holes. We'll do our best, but I'm gonna throw a little texture on the side of the cake, so it won't really matter anyway. Okay, still get eye level with it to make sure your sides look straight before you even start smoothing it out. Now, if there's any big noticeable gaps, go ahead and fill those in. And scrape one more time. Now I'm going to use another textured icing comb to get some texture on the side of the cake. I love how this gives it kind of a swirled look, but you'll see we still have some of these holes from the buttercream because it is a cream cheese buttercream and it gets kind of sticky, which means it pulls at the buttercream and we get some holes. Time to go back in the freezer, about 15 minutes. My cake's been in the freezer for about 15 minutes, which means my buttercream is nice and set and I can use a knife and just cut this acrylic disc away from the top. And it leaves me with a really nice, sharp, clean edge. There you go. Now I'll take some extra buttercream, fill in the top, and we're almost done. I'm just using my offset icing spatula and I'm gonna just blend it into the edge. All right, so I may not love nuts in my cake layers, but on the top, for a little decoration, they are welcome. All right, there you have it. It's my classic carrot cake with a cream cheese buttercream. Have fun with this one. If you want to add some nuts or some raisins into the cake batter, you certainly can. Or maybe add some toasted candied walnuts or pecans in between the cake layers for a little added crunch and texture to your cake. I'm gonna cut this one up, take some pictures, and dig in. Thanks for joining me.